Back then I was a model, I was a bit skinnier and leaner. I'm a bit more voluptuous now. However, I ran from home after completing matric. I went to go stay with a friend called Dintle Kente. We used to go to boarding school together, that's how I know her. I moved in with her in Braamfontein, so I'm from Western area. It's a mining town, so little really happens there. And then I bounced between Western area and Secunda, which is in Malanga, and little happens there as well. So when you get to the streets of Johannesburg, everything is bigger. It's fun, the lights are bright, people are up day and night. And while I was with this friend, staying with this friend, I realized that she had a weird sense of income. She had hair, and at that time I had afro. I knew nothing about weaves and beautiful things and makeup and things that make women glow. She had a stack of weaves, perfumes, exotic perfume. She had wines and champagnes that I didn't know. And she had a boyfriend. And I asked her one day, how are you living the way that you're living with a stipend of 500 rand? Her mother was a nurse, and she was studying at Wits at the time. And because I had run away from home, I was jobless and educationless. So it was weird that she had all these things. This is now back in 2009. And she said, well, I have a boyfriend. The boyfriend arrived. He happened to be a normal gentleman, but she was 10 years our senior. 10 years our senior, we were 19, the guy was around 30, 31 at the time. He then invited us to a golf day. I didn't know anything about golf. She said to me, my boyfriend wants to invite you to a dinner at a golf club in Bryanston, so you have to look a certain part. And I said, oh, okay, which is a common thing. The tracksuit is a common thing. That's what you wear when you go out with friends, right? She said, no. You have to look a particular way. She changed my hair from an afro to a weave. Took me to a salon called Diva Divine. It was in Bramley back in the day. I think they have relocated now or shut down. She took me to a salon where my hair was changed from an afro to a weave. She introduced me to makeup, so she went and she bought makeup for me. She changed my clothes from a tracksuit to a mini skirt. A mini skirt very close to my vagina. You could literally see an ounce of it if you wanted to. I come from a Christian family. My dad was in the army, extremely abusive. When I was 12 years old, my dad shot my mom, so I still have that trauma. You take that little girl, you put her in a mini skirt. She goes to a golf course in Bryanston. She entertains the men at the table as if they're a flock of beasts. When we got there, the first car that I noticed was a Maserati because I had never seen such an ugly car in my life. I was like, oh my God, what is this car with this little emblem? But that's all I know. So a Maserati and a Ferrari and Aston Martin was very far from my understanding. Her boyfriend introduced me to what became my sugar daddy, a man who was 22 years old, older than me, 22 years old, double my age. And I need you to listen. I was 19, dating a man who had an age gap of 22. Yes, things are fun in the beginning. You have spa treatments, you go to dinners, you go to exclusive events, you see the greatest people, you see celebrities, all these nice people who sell you the good life. You're in a fancy car, you're sitting where the wife sits. Hey, yalatsiba mus. Why are you pretending as if you don't know? You sit in front as if you were the wife. You find comfort in the position that you were loaned. Let me tell you what happens next. 1 year into the relationship, I'm turning 20. He introduces orgies, group sex. He says, well, you're eating my money. You're wearing my clothes. At some point, I had stopped wearing Mr. Price. I was wearing Louis Vuitton. Do not try to sabotage me. Scan tester. No, thank you. Welcome, Ms. Griselda. I'm just narrating my story. I'll be with you in a second. From wearing the Aparatsoko Small Street, Mr. Price, to wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and what. This man now says to me, after a year of being in a relationship with him, he says, well, you're going to have group sex when I want it, with whom I request, at any given time, without a condom, and you're going to be okay with it. I pay for your car allowance. You stay in my apartment now. You drive my cars now. You sit in my wife's seat comfortably. You have VIP entrance to every major event in this country. You fly business class. So what did you expect? I've been raped 2 times, gang raped, seen my dad shoot my mother, ran away from home at 19 years old, dating a man who's 22 years, the gap age difference is 22 years. This same man says this to this child, that you will interact with me as I please, when I please, and with whom I please.
Wow.
And you have no say.
Yeah.
The thing about sugar daddies, they're beautiful because they're black men. There's a lot of black men in here. Black men are beautiful. You know what it is about black men? Black men are smooth. They look good. They've got that chocolate glistening. Smooth talkers. Sometimes they smell good. So you have this sugar daddy who drives a Maserati, a Porsche, a Range Rover, and he's got a boy he's using to get girls for his friends. And today he's telling me, because I pay for your living, you'll have sex the way I say you should. So the first time it happened, they had hosted a VIP dinner in Bryanston, massive house, everybody was there. Business people, politicians, celebrities, you name them. And the thing about celebrities is they like pretending as if they really make lots of money when they actually have sugar daddies. You're sitting in a room with about 40 plus people, exclusive people, well-moneyed people, well-respected people in communities, business leaders, politicians, celebrities, corporate entities, all of them. And you're this young, 20 years old girl amongst these beasts of people, these giants. In the eyes of the public, they are leaders. They call them global leaders, change makers. The people that you look at on TV and you're like, wow, I want to be like him. I want to be like that CEO. I want to be like that politician. I want to be that doctor. That doctor is sitting in Bryanston in a house asking for sex from a 19-year-old. One by one that night, we drank some more. And because you don't know alcohol, wa pop, I want a bottle of gold, your panties drop. They bring out a bottle of champagne, put it on your table, and you're fascinated because you have no moral code, no principles, no education, no understanding. These men, they put them on your table and say, drink, namayini pozayam. And you drink. And it's nice because you can take pictures. It's nice. After that, you have to sleep with them. Did you go for a HIV test? No. Did they ask for consent? No. Technically, they're raping you. And here you are because you're getting a phone, makeup, hair, airtime, data, transport, maybe even an Uber if you're lucky. But your vagina is at cost. I say this speaking as if I'm speaking to women alone, but men sleep with older men and they sleep with sugar mamas, so it goes for everybody. We know boys who sleep with men and pretend as if like babereka. Ababereki. You look at all these popular people pushing this pop culture, driving Range Rovers and Mercedes Benz and what? And you're like, girl, usebenzisa kayi usamaka Range Rover? Think about it. It's easy to say somebody's successful when they cannot account for that success, but they can show you the material things. It's easy to say, oh, they have made it in life. They live in Sandton. So what? Those people are empty. They are continuously raped. They move around with diseases, and they pass it on to the young generation. And mind I say, I don't hate men. I love men. I love them. Because men are sure of what they want. They get what they want. They sell you the illusion. And because you are weak, you fall into that trap because you don't know who you are. So yes, I'm not saying all rich people are like this, but there's that 10%. There's that 10%. So I'm dating this man. Everything seems perfect. Last straw. There's a problem with women. And I'm saying this referring to my younger self as well. So I'm not attacking anybody. Women think they can change a man. Or they think they can be the it. This conversation is disturbing me. Mr. Majan, welcome. Women think they can change a narcissist, a psychopath, dressed in beautiful suits, drinking expensive champagne, smoking cigars. Nobody can change those kind of beasts. They are beasts. It's an animal dressed in a suit. Can't change that. So I fall pregnant because, sex happens. I can't like sex. You fall pregnant, guess what he did? He hired a private doctor to remove the baby from my womb without my consent. He said to me, in this life, you get to live free, which is my money. You sleep where I want you to sleep. You will not have this baby that will destroy my reputation because obviously his ego was bruised. How do you explain a pregnancy to a wife? So you become the sacrificial lamb. He hired a doctor to remove the baby from my womb. They drugged me and I slept and the baby was gone when I woke up. I said something about cell phones. Please do not insult me. I want you to understand what I'm saying. He hired a doctor to remove the baby from my womb without my consent. Sugar daddies are nice in the beginning, like anything else. A new car is nice, new cell phone is nice, makeup is nice, alcohol beverage, that's nice. But when you have no control of your existence, that is the pits of hell. They make you sleep with anybody that they please. Whether it's orgies, threesomes or whatever, another man on top of another man and all of that. And in this, you have no right to say no because they pay for your existence. So sometimes when I speak about these things, people think I'm crazy. And they're like, but what a pilakai? They live among you. It could be a doctor, a pastor, a teacher, a principal, the person who works at Pick and Pay who's got power at Pick and Pay. These kind of people are everywhere. You don't have to be in Sandton to experience a sugar daddy lifestyle. For other people, kota, you know. So how Phyllis Kambani?
2 minutes, Jackie. Thank you.
I'm with you. When they have given you all of that, you think that's enough. And you think you have arrived. But the opportunity cost that leaves you, and the scars and traumas that leave you, will stay with you for life. So when you do make the choices that you make on a daily basis when you interact with any human being, remember that at some point you have to pay a price for your choice. So luckily I got out, went on to write books and study and do that, but that was at the brink of death. Because it's not like you're just going to walk out scot-free. So, in closing, as we have this conversation today, I hope you find it in your hearts to make the right choices for your life. Because at the end of the day, there will be a price to pay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jackie. I first of all would like to just humbly apologize. Age caught up with me. Instead of coming to Orange Farm, I went to Vosloorus. There is a Chris Hani mall in Vosloorus, and there's a Chris Hani Sports Center in Orange Farm. So I went to the other side. And thank you very much for sharing of yourself. As we begin this conversation, I would like one of the organizers to me to please pass on my glasses. I did say that age has caught up with me. Today we are, taking from the journey that Jackie has gone through and graciously penned down to share her experiences so that you young people don't have to go through what she's gone through. Sometimes, we see people's experiences as just entertainment information, and when it's meant for us to not fall for the same traps, for us not to fall prey for some of the challenges that other people go through. So we are going to, and I'm told that the introductions have already been made. I'm going to give each speaker perhaps 2 minutes, like literally 2 minutes, to introduce what it is that you do and your message today, and then we begin the conversation. I will start with the multi-award winning musician, beautiful, gorgeous sister, Judith Sipuma.
Thank you. Barkemelele.
Yo, Maui.
Dumelang.
Do you really have to? Camera height.
Can I sit down rather? Is it okay?
Yeah, we're
I look
having
more
a
professional.
conversation. Can it be neat?
I look professional. How do you do?
Exactly.
It's more convincing.
Yeah. Linda, I'll be convinced when you're seated.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and it is such a pleasure and an honor to be here, Lilona, today. And I pray, my name is Judith Sipuma, and I love people, I love life. I've had so many amazing experiences, and I cannot wait to share and impart. Remember, when we are here today, it's all about imparting, educating, and just this event is run by EmpowaWorks as one of the organizers of today. So we're here to empower one another. So I'm glad all of those 16-year-olds have stayed behind. They did not leave. So please take everything and take it to heart. We're looking forward to just really building and growing. We are also growing and building as well, as we are all speaking and learning from one another. So is that my 2 minutes?
That's 1.5. You're almost there.
All right. So
Half a minute.
I would also.
How many kids do you have?
Okay, I've got a lot of kids. Okay, so I'm blessed with 5 children. My oldest is 30. She just turned 30 years old. The youngest is actually, how old?
And I have to just mention to you that you look 30, by the way.
Thank you. So there's this one who's actually 10 years old. He thinks he's my boyfriend, right? Yeah, so mommy this, mommy that, mommy that. So they just came to visit me for the week because I decided all of a Sunday, because I need my space. Women don't want to admit, now I need my time. So I sent them all to their dad, and I'm so happy because when they come, I love them even better now. I appreciate them even better. Mara, boyfriend, he doesn't want to go out and play. He's always sitting and guarding me and checking what I'm doing, what I'm eating. But mommy, you ate that yesterday. Are you not going to gym?
Typical of boys.
Yeah, but he's the most handsome, most kindest boy. And of the 6 children, only 1 passed on. And with those 6 children, we adopted 2 children as well on top of that. One is actually 33 years old, and then another one was 25, and he passed on. So, and that was my boy. He was 7 when I took him in, and he passed on when he was 25. Amazing, amazing boy. So I've got an amazing life. And my life, I always say, God blesses us with a life that is actually not really only for us. God blesses you with a life for someone else. You are a living testimony. That is why it is important how you live your journey. Everything you go through, it is up to you to take it and learn and take something positive, no matter how hard it is. It's like COVID. There's always something that is going to come out of this. We learn daily. So we're here to empower, to impart you guys. So may you be blessed today by all of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And for those of you who don't know, best jazz vocalist at the Old Mutual Jazz, South Africa's highest music honor for New Beginnings album. Best female artist for the album New Beginnings. Best jazz vocalist, and the list goes on and on of the accolades. Let's give her another round of applause. And then we have Sislebu Ramafoku, who decided that, you know what, I'm hanging my mic and gloves. I'm done with this feminism and gender activism. I'm leaving Soul City. This is it for me. And guess what? She resurfaces as CEO of Tikano, because once an activist, always an activist. You can never tire, you can never stop activism. Welcome, and please share with us your message for today.
Thank you very much. You can never retire from being an activist. I was and a feminist. I was born an activist and a feminist. I'll die an activist and a feminist. I think for me, what interested me about this topic and the message that I want to share is that all of us, young and old, have a lot of things that we have learned that we've got to unlearn. And there is a lot of things we've got to relearn. All of us were brought up in homes where we were told this is what being a girl means, this is what being a boy means. And right now, what as parents in particular we've got to learn is that gender is a social construct. And between being male and female, there's many gender identities. So there's a lot that we've got to unlearn. A lot of us, particularly in South Africa, we are born into the Christian faith. And there's a lot of things we have gone to church to learn that we've got to unlearn about the role of a woman versus the role of a man. There's a lot of things in our cultures, because we are social beings. What culture simply means is that it is a way in which a group of people do things. And there's a lot of things in our cultures that we learned about what is a real this, what is a real that, which is a nonsensical concept, okay? And there's a lot of things, therefore, that we've got to learn and in fact, unlearn and relearn. So if there is one thing that, at least if I'm given an opportunity to speak today, I want to speak to, whether you are young, whether you are straight, whether you are gay, whether you are older, whether you are a parent, whether you are not, whether you are working, is that go around in life asking yourself, where do the beliefs that you hold come from? And if you interrogate what you believe and you are willing to unlearn a lot of things that you know in order to relearn, we will be able to deal with issues like gender-based violence and a whole lot of other problems that we have in society.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I guess that conversation also takes us to even getting to understand what we mean by Mr. or Miss or Mrs. It's a conversation for another day, because that seems to be exclusive, and we need to be inclusive. And I'd also like to trick your brain, Dr. Thembi Kulu, CEO of the South African National AIDS Council, coming from Right to Know to South African AIDS Council. I can simply say that you are a very brave girl. Those are very, I don't have a better word, but nasty tips. But you seem to be sailing through and looking as gorgeous as you are. It looks like it's not scarring you at all. I have stories about those organizations, but not for today. Your moment.
Thank you so much, Triselda. Sanbonan, Ninjani. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the South African National AIDS Council. And I'm actually the mother of two girls. My firstborn is 19. When's I first year AUP? And I've got well, she says she's 14, but she's 13.
Yeah, 13 going for 14, 20 going for 25. When you get to 25, there's no counting anymore.
Exactly, that's when you stop. So I'm just reminded of a story of my 19-year-old Uguti. We once, sihlala e West Rand, so we once driving past Clearwater. So mas simile robotini, kuqhamuke a lady wearing a very short skirt, le eqishiveze those parts that you're talking about. So njengoba ehamba, uyayehlisa yabona nje becross umgwaqo. And then I say something like, no, but she knew that this thing was short when she put it on at home. Why is she pulling it down? And she said to me, Mommy, did you figure out that that is just how she likes it? So, ngizontshela ngeSANAC mina ngithi iSANAC is the highest decision-making body when it comes to issues of HIV, TB, and STIs in this country. We have a responsibility not only to South Africans, but also to the globe. Because if South Africa's HIV, TB, and STI program fails, the world fails, because we have the biggest problem. So when we look at our 8 goals of the NSP, sesifike lapha ku goal 4 okhuluma ngama social and structural drivers of HIV, STIs, and TB. And we then come to things like gender-based violence, which we'll talk about today. But when we talk about key and vulnerable populations, young people are in there, and you are the youth. Yeah. And as much as we are here to share what I can share as a clinician, as a whatever, there is no way we can treat ourselves biomedically out of this situation. So we are going to share, we are going to teach, but Mina, I am that CEO that you can look up to. Yes. I'm that female boss who wants to grow other women to bloom. Not about making other women suffer.
That's it.
I am that female boss where when we report to men, we are not going to kill each other because we want his attention. I'm that one. And I'm here to say today, actually, singahlala la sikhulume, but all the answers are in you. You, the young people, know what we need to do to make your situation better.
Yeah.
So big ups to the organizers. This is a powerhouse indeed. Thank you very much for that. And you've already heard from the award-winning author, social activist, entrepreneur, and a philanthropist who never regarded her scars as to dictate what and who she becomes. She's authored several books. She writes very interesting pieces, blogs as well, and has an ability to shock you and massage you at the same time. I don't know where she finds that skill, Jackie Pamoti. If you can just give her a round of applause. She's already introduced herself. So today, in 15 minutes, we must have talked about this very interesting conversation about blesser, blessee. And these blessers are our fathers, partners, friends. These blessees are our sons and daughters. And as already indicated by Dr. Kulu, the answers lie in all of us in this room. Oftentimes we come up with these bombastic words about certain beliefs, social contrasts, but we are the ones who come up with the phrases, we are the ones who come up with the challenges, and as Lebu said, there's so much that we need to unlearn that we have learned over the years. Perhaps starting this conversation, I'd like to maybe start with you, Jackie, and question to you, what are some of the lessons that you believe we should be teaching both young boys and girls when it comes to blesser, blessee phenomenon? Because oftentimes we look at the blesser, we come up with messages that but oftentimes there's willing participants, and these are our children. What lessons have you learned as a young woman who, when you exposed yourself to the environment, there was no gun on your head? And I heard you speaking as a big sister saying, there's no honor in making those choices and decisions. There are young boys and girls in this audience who are making those decisions. And for them, it's about accessing populism.
It's so sad. I wish our parents would be honest with struggle.
Yeah.
Tell young people it's okay to struggle. Khushapu, awuphanda, khushapu. You know, when you're trying to, for example, I'm a criminology student. For me, in my age, the age that I'm in now, and my peers are out drinking, and I'm sitting at 2 o'clock at night and I'm studying, and I'm researching. You know, so last night I posted on social media that it's 1 o'clock and I'm studying, and my peers are having a good time. And I remember my mom in the back of my head, my mom has passed on, in the back of my head saying, "Khushapu, khubala." You lose nothing. There's nothing that's going on outside that will be greater than the sacrifice. There's nothing.
Absolutely.
Be okay with struggling to get to a certain point. And be okay to say, "Haki jwale, I'm not going out with friends because I'm sacrificing this time for the small business that I'm trying to create, for my studies, to learn, to research, to get mentorship." Be okay with the struggle. Don't just want to escalate your life in 5 seconds, where now from matric, you want to be in this big house. You want to be married to so-and-so. You want to, just because your neighbor is doing 1, 2, 3. It's okay to work and start from scratch. It's okay. And I can confidently tell you that now that I'm here, I regret one thing. I regret not believing in my ability for writing because I knew from a young age that I could.
Yeah.
And I had to learn the hard way to sort of evoke that in me because when I left that man, I was left with zero. I had to figure life out as if I was 16 again. So one thing I can honestly tell you is be okay with struggle. Do not compare or compete. And listen to your inner voice. You know what you want to become. Nobody's going to pay for your success. Doesn't happen that way. Even if it takes 2, 3, 5, 6 years or 7 years. For me, my degree is taking me 4 years. But I'm on the last lap. But it's okay to be comfortable with a little suffering. It's okay.
Thank you. Because it doesn't last forever, right?
It doesn't last forever.
Yeah, it's a passing phase. Trust the process. And Dr. Kulu, I mean, we're talking about transitional sex here. And often we don't focus on the risks that are involved in making those decisions. Right now, it may be comfortable that he buys the cell phone, he gives you airtime, it may be a teacher, you're exchanging sex for marks. But what are the risks to the person?
Thanks, Ms. Griselda. The risks are huge. They are huge. I think the bottom line, as was put earlier, kule transactional sex is simply put, the men have got the money and they want the sex, and the girls want the money. Angithi sibheke Instagram. We look at social media and we think it's true. And people are living a lie and we desire to be what they are. And we think we would do anything to become. Not understanding that whatever they are portraying, there's that meme, ye apula, that is showing in the mirror. And the back part is bitten. And you just see the forepart and you're like, I want that. And you say, I would do anything. And yet it's a lie. So there is a truth that needs to come up in the conversations that we have about simple things like the implications of the sexual decisions that you make on a daily basis and the impacts that they have even on your psychological health. Because if kuguthi wena as a girl, for instance, uhlala utshela ukuthi umuhle, and every day you are sleeping with a different boy, trust me, at some point it takes its mental toll on you.
Yeah.
You look at other girls as your competition, you think wena utshelwa ukuthi umuhle, but the STIs are real. The pregnancy that is unwanted is real.
Absolutely.
The HIV is real. When we talk about STIs, khulumenge herpes, as doctors we say herpes is better than love because herpes stays with you forever. Ayipheleli. Uba ne herpes for the rest of your life. And then as I said, every sexual encounter that you get into does have an impact on your mental health. So the risks are beyond just the happiness or the short-term joy that you think you are feeling at that time. So from our end, we really need to look at these young people holistically. And as I said, the answer is not a biomedical one. We really need to get into the roots because this girl who gets into that situation, kusuke kune inequality, ne poverty. Have we created an enabling environment for her to become an entrepreneur and to bloom and be economically stable in other ways? Or is this the best that she can do?
Or to even believe in herself, as Ujeki alluded, that be comfortable with where you're at that moment. It's a passing phase. Thank you, Dr. Kulu. Lebu, there's a study that was conducted that 12 young women aged between 18 and 30 years old participated in 2 focus group discussions. And it was an in-depth interview. The findings of the study revealed that there were socio-behavioral, socio-cultural, socio-economic findings that are contributing factors to why we continue to talk about bless up, bless see. Maybe if you can just reflect on them that as this audience, we reflect on our role in contributing to perpetuating this behavior patterns.
So, I mean, I want to start as well by why, as a society, we like calling things not by their real name. Because even the phenomenon blesser, blessee, I have a huge problem with it. And I have a problem with it from two two reasons. One, many men are pedophiles. And when you call a pedophile a blesser, you are hiding pedophilia.
That
So
deserves a round of applause for sure.
Why are we calling them blessers when they are pedophiles? They are pedophiles. When ukhalela ingane, you are a pedophile. There's no blessing around it. And blessee victimizes the girl. Blessee victimizes the girl because all of us, even when we were being mic'd here, there, we were busy on Insta. We were all selfieing. And all of these things are fueled by big money. Social media is not a charity organization. There's a lot of people that want you and I to take pictures of ourselves to share because they fuel capitalism. And these things are big entities. So some of the ways in which we think about this also needs to change. We've got a lot of pedophiles in our societies. We've got a lot of pedophiles in industries. We are not calling them pedophiles. And they are pedophiles.
And
Okay?
there's no blessing, Emanyale.
Exactly. There's no blessing. Okay, so that's that. The second thing that happens is the fact that, and it's exactly what I said at the beginning. I think all of us, I don't problematize sex. I personally don't problematize sex. And this is the reason why I don't problematize sex. It is the whole issue of not wanting to speak, particularly to young women, about positive sexuality. That makes men pry at them. It is the fact that sex is made as a dirty thing and not a natural thing. That makes young women feel like you can do whatever you want. Okay, I've had lots of sex. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the sex I have had is very lousy. Because even these men that are asking you to have sex with them, they don't know what the fuck they are doing.
Sure.
3/4 of them, 3/4 of them sitting here, yes, sitting in this room, do not know what the heck they are doing. They don't.
Some condoms don't even fit.
No, they don't. And let me tell you why I say that. Let me tell you why I say that. If we empowered women as sexual beings, we would start making them be able to say, you, me, no.
Really?
Because a lot of them rush, they want that body part. Sex is more than that. Sex is just how even this man carries himself. Sex is the politics he holds. Does this man believe in black consciousness? And if you are a black man and you believe in black consciousness, you will never even look at a child, even if they were butt naked, and see a sexual being. You would never look at a black girl and speak about them as a sexual object when you know that all of us sitting here are because of our grandmothers and our mothers. You would never do that. That for me is sexy. A man who carries his politics. And that is why they'll wear labels. That is why they'll drive the cars. Because between this ear and this ear, wind.
Empty.
Nothing.
Empty.
And because you've not told girls that their sex is precious and they must go for sex, we are sitting in churches and all we talk, we won't talk corruption, We won't talk pedophilia, but we'll talk about fornication. Everybody is talking about fornication. When you teach young women about body positivity, that they must touch themselves, they must love themselves, they ain't gonna throw that to any dog, to Tom, Dick, and Arthur that comes. So some of the problems we've got is how we have moralized sex and not even spoken about real biological issues, where a woman even understands and looks at their vagina and understands what their vagina looks like, so that even when they've got a discharge, they would know what that discharge is about.
Yeah.
But we also have allowed in our societies, I don't even want to say moral emptiness, but an emptiness where the things we glorify as a black people, and I deliberately talk to us as a black people, is that they don't take us anywhere. We are consumers. All of us here are consumers, okay? I am more proud of young women and young men who will go and buy the gin at Mr. Price. Or even, it doesn't even have to be a Mr. Price. But when they stand here and they speak, or when they sweep a floor, or when they sell their tomatoes, they are a brand. You don't forget an encounter. But we are consumers, because in society, particularly what has happened is that we have not become critical, conscious beings. We have become very naive, critical beings. And that is why I spoke about unlearning. If you understood that Verwoerd was a psychiatrist, you will understand that apartheid was a psychological warfare.
Yeah. Amen.
You will understand that when they gave up power, they knew that they had damaged us for generations.
Yeah.
You will know that if you are not willing to unlearn the things that they taught you about what being a black person is and what you are worthy, if you are not willing to unlearn those things, we will fall for the trappings of a car, of alcohol. Some of this alcohol we even post about is not even nice. It's not even nice. But oh my God, we are so empty psychologically, we are so empty inside
And
that we are
culturally.
looking outside.
Thank you.
So in closing, I think Lay Dokfele, whatever it is, or my, all of these places that we go to, for me, if we can turn them into places of critical consciousness, I think we will be able and call things the way that they are. It's not teenage pregnancy, it's statutory rape. It's not bless us, it's pedophiles.
Thank you very much, Lebo. Driving here, it ripped my heart apart, watching young people queuing for imali eqolo. It's the tragedy of our lifetime, that we are able to incentivize young people who are unemployed when they have babies. The thinking that goes into that is quite disturbing. Judith, unfortunately, as the last speaker, you have like 2 minutes because we have to take Q&A before 11:15. That is our time of ending this conversation. You are a UCT graduate.
Yeah.
Sitting here are people who just want instant fame.
Yeah.
And if you disagree with me, look at who you are following and why you're following them. The Instagram, the Twitter. What are you consuming?
Yeah.
And some are consuming, if I can leave him at Dubai, I'll leave it at that. So what role did education play in your career path?
Oh my goodness, it played a very big role. Let me just go back quickly in time. I had my first child when I think I was 16, turning 17. And I want to say this quickly because everything that these ladies are saying here is so crucial, and it all goes back to when you are at that age. And I blame a lot of I blame our parents for a lot of things, that we could have avoided until today. I blame our fathers for a lot of things that our girl children would not have gone through if they were present.
Yes.
The apartheid days really messed us up. So when I was 16 years old, I knew no better. But I knew one thing, Uguti, even if a guy looked at you and said, hello, Wanaka, you're going to be pregnant, run. Askaba kushela, you
Yeah.
know, and that's how my mom raised me. Mara, I still had my own thinking. I'm curious. The curious mind is so evil. And I met a man who was much older, 10 years older than me, an amazing man. And we had one beautiful child. But the lesson that I'm trying to teach you from that is that at 16, you are at no place to have a child. You are at no place to want to think of having sex. I've got a daughter now who's 19 years old. She's not even thinking of sex. She is so into her studies. It is crazy. She bores me. She's reading all the time. She's learning Korean. She's learning. And I'm not even doing that. It's because I've told her many times, Wamita, at 16, you're on your own. Leave my house. And unfortunately, it's something that we as parents are afraid to do. Show her, Uguti, you are not an adult. We are not equal in this house. This is my roof and these are my rules. So if when you feel, you come to me for pads. Mommy, can I have money for pads? So you don't have a right to come to me and discuss certain things. Sibadala nibancane, period. So we need to allow ourselves as teenagers to learn from our parents, to listen to our parents, mabekuluma, because a lot of things will be avoided. My daughter, another child of mine, she is only one child and she's married. She's 30 married because when she fell pregnant, I said to her, it's not going to happen until he marries you. And I was not forcing her. I knew he was a good man. And they got married. And she's been so happy ever since. So, so happy. So we need to force our children to actually think, read, find out. Associate yourself with good people who are going to educate you, empower you. You know, your friends, Mamganwako is doing the wrong thing. You know it is wrong. I had a fight with some other girls, you know, I was singing in a club not so long ago. And this girl was wearing this short dress. But Begashele Pezgo Omunye in Tombazana like this, on top of her. So and the skirt went all the way high, but there were men around her. And I said, but that is wrong. A girl is not, so I don't care if you're wearing jeans or pants or tights. In Tombazana, you cannot sit like that. It is not right. So if you want, just to quickly to get you, so if you want to have that child early, the responsibility, it is so massive. It is so huge. You are messing up that child, you don't know. Pregnancy is not a child's play, guys. Pregnancy is not fun.
She said it, right?
Listen, until, it's rough. That's all I can say. And now you want to go to that whole quickly fame thing. It's not going to work for you. Social media is not there for you to look for things you should not look for. You know when something is wrong when it comes to you. You know when the man comes and says something, it is wrong. But because when you refuse, you are stubborn, you go for those things. But we cannot always be blaming people for things. We need to take responsibility. We need to be responsible. The career you want, work hard for it, guys. Go through the right. Associate yourself with greatness all the time because you are great. You are destined for greatness, whether you know it, you like it or not. You are destined. And don't care cooking right now. God has an even bigger plan, a much bigger plan for you. Before he formed you, he knew you.
In her other life, she's also a preacher, by the way.
He formed you. He knew you. And, before anything happens in your life, don't kill your career.
Ibambe, Judith.
Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. Allow yourself to be great. You only have this many years to live. The first 10 years of your life, maybe you don't know what you're doing. The next 10 years of your life, know what you're doing. But at 10 years old, my son already knows because I grill it in him. I saw what my parents did to me, and I don't want that for my children. Different times today. We've got a great opportunity. Look at this. We never had that. We never had this, guys. We never had this. We never had people who came out and said confidently that I am HIV positive. They were hiding it. I was abused. They were hiding it. We are so blessed right now. You've got resources left, right, and centers. Social media is there to empower you, but it can also kill you. Yeah. Be smart and rise above it. Know what's right and
go
know
to
what's
school.
wrong. Amen. Go to school. Fundani, guys.
So here's what's going to happen. We can only take 2 questions here, 2 questions here. I've already noted your hand. I've already noted your hand and that hand. Okay, at the back, you win, girls. In actual fact, for being the first ones to raise your hand before I even ask you to ask questions, I'm going to give you copies of my book.
Oh,
You're never alone.
beautiful.
The early worm catches, right?
Of course.
Finish the early worm.
The fetus worm.
Ganjani. It's the early bird.
bird.
that
It's the
catches
fetus
worm.
worm.
Yeah.
Absheni to the panel, absheni to everyone. Bitoramina Inomvola, African Bright Nguna. I have a question that I'm hoping Zazi sent, but anyway, it's fine. Ever since I've been here, I've taken away asking the right questions, seizing the moment, and we've also been told to identify a mentor. Now, I've never been somebody who was looking to have a mentor. But at a point in my life, I realized that, girl, I was young, you know? So come back towards yourself. I identified a mentor, and I approached this man that I admired, respected, and thought that he was an industry leader. And I think at the back of my head, I still do, because I approached him because of his skills that I admired in him. His response was, of course, you are talented, you are this, you are that. It's fine, I'm here for you. But in response to that, Wang Shell. And that took me aback. I was offended. I was offended a bit as well to say that kuyo yonke into engize ngawe kuwe ngayo, you reduce me to a piece of meat. In all the skill that I possess, with all the talent that I possess, in everything that I've worked with you on so many projects, that you've seen my skill, my drive, and my need to go forward. All you can do, ugungshare. Ubab masiza masifika la, usale wathi on the first day, let's exchange numbers as people, as we are here. Also, masi, after exchanging numbers,
And let's get to the questions, Tando Sam.
yeah, after exchanging numbers, let's go to identify a mentor. My question to the panel and to you guys here, if you can help me, how do you identify a right mentor? And also, how do we collaborate as the youth of Orange Farm?
The second one was right next to her. And I urge you, please, I hope you've written down your question, because it's more question Q&A session.
Definitely.
Please be mindful of that.
Greetings, everyone. I think my question goes right to you, Sis Criselda, because I think, we respect your opinion so much. And I think the question that I have is, why do we always find women addressing issues of gender-based violence you know? And I'm saying this because I've been following this, this conference right from the beginning. So we've been online, we've been watching what's happening and all of that. And I don't know how we are having this conversation without a man sitting in the panel to be able to speak about some of these issues, because you are speaking there as one, women who have been young women. But where are the men in this conversation?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Criselda, can I just add, there's going to be an empowerment panel discussion later today to address. Okay, cool.
So your question, the first question, as we sort out this mask, who is it directed to? It's important you mention the person you're directing your question to. Okay, all right.
Sanibonani.
Siyabona nathi.
Kamara Mujunya Nkomo. I had a question for Ma'am Jake. Thinking back now, what would you advise your younger self?
Thank you. Straight to the point. Your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I've got a question here, and my
I
question
said
is
you too.
related to what you guys are doing about what's happening. I'm going to give you an example. We are failed by the government because most of the things that you guys spoke about, it's advertised within the social media. For example, I've seen a video of Melusi Gigaba online, and it was pulled out so quick. I had a friend who was taking a video adverts during our second year, and when she graduated, that same video was still on the net, and it was used against her. So all I'm asking is, what are you guys doing to actually make sure that the youth is protected? Because the government is not doing anything. They're using dirty
Oh, maybe you can, please give him back the mic. Because sometimes, we ask these questions when we should be giving answers. You are youth. Tell us what should happen.
Okay, for instance, I wrote certain things down. I went through an article Mandela wrote about not liking Boom Shaka for the way they dressed, and he liked Bongo Muffin. And I also read something about President Thabo Mbeki disliking a certain group based on how they performed and how they were dressed.
And the response to your question is?
My question is, what are you guys
No,
doing?
the response to the question. You are youth. A young person recorded themselves having sex or being naked. What is your response? Because government is not an individual.
She didn't know about the recording. Hence, it was used against her when she had a job within a government sector. And
So
it
your
was the
message to your peers.
Sorry?
Your message to your peers.
I'm asking is, what are you guys doing about
No, you're not hearing me. I am with you in the conversation, but I want us to figure out answers. Because we have this notion of believing that government has a magic wand. Young people are recording themselves naked and having sex. It is unlawful, one, that's what government has done. So what is your advice to your peers? Because it's probably one of your age group young men who did that.
My advice is, as young people, we shouldn't be recording ourselves having sex. But another thing I'm going to say to you is, I feel like the government also has to play a role in this. Because if they can pull one video out of the net, why can't they shut down all these things that are destroying our youth?
What's Valerie social media? Would you be here if it went for social media? No, we have to be mindful of the choices we make. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So, ladies, response to question number 1. Who's going to take that?
I want to speak about mentorship. I mean, I think, and I agree with you, I think it is dangerous to approach anybody just because you admire them to be a mentor. Because in fact, there are people who get trained to mentor people. And I think sometimes we confuse needing more information from somebody because they are in your industry as a mentor. And I think, we need to understand that mentorship is a profession. There are people who really are professional mentors because they must also be able to be protected and protect you. And they are bound by certain codes. But if we want to do it informally, it's better that you do it as a group. Whenever young people approach me, I normally say to them, do you have a group? Do you have a youth club? Do you have just a group? Because when you are a group, that kind of things, unfortunately, that you are talking about will not happen. I think it's very dangerous. Because I think sometimes when we are young, we are very naive. To go and approach somebody. Somebody may be an industry leader, but not a good mentor.
Or somebody may be famous, but not a mentor.
A mentor, Mentorship is a profession. But if you really want somebody to come and help you with something, you admire them, it's better that you do it as a group rather than as individuals.
All right, before I lose the tender, can I have Jackie responding? Because I do want to come back here. And if I mess up the times, they might not call me back again.
Just to add on to what you're saying, Mama.
Let's not even add. I beg of you. What would you advise your younger self?
I've come to realize that you know from day one what you want to be. And my advice to myself would be be patient with your dream because your dream will be your dream in the end.
Yeah.
Be patient with that dream because it took me 6 years to be able to write one successful book. And after the 6 years, I wrote 5 other books that were successful every year because the 6 years had prepared me.
Yeah.
So if I was kinder to my dream and I valued it more and I'd added more skill to it, that's why I'm studying now to enhance it. Because a dream without extra skill is weak. Then you have so many competition. But once you enhance it and you grow it and upscale it, it becomes powerful. So I knew from day one I could write. But now society says, what do you know that you want to write about? So you have to read, research, study. Right? So I would have been kinder to myself, but also how I choose the people that I regard as mentors far away from me. As much as we are young people and we don't have parents who advise us. We really don't. We just don't. They're busy or they're dead or they're not here. I follow people who I know for a fact that on their daily streams, so social media streams, they impart knowledge. So I don't have to be in a physical room with them.
That's it.
I buy their books, I listen to I watch their videos.
That's it.
I don't follow slay queens, I don't.
Yeah.
I follow people that speak life into my dream on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Amen
So
to
I don't
that.
have to go to US to be with Oprah.
No.
I sit and listen to what she has said over the years.
Thank you.
But sometimes we also place ourselves vulnerable to we post ourselves as prey to some of these scavengers. I'm going to request, I'll take that as a closing remark for Jackie. I'm going to request all of us to just have those nuggets, almost like a two-liner, because the production is already saying, and we know, Maktiwa Gutiwa change. The next session is supposed to be underway already. If I can start with you, Dr. Kulu.
So I do want to respond to the gentleman at the back. Maybe that can be my closing, please. I think there's no doubt things like social media do need to be regulated. But I sit here as a doctor today, so I don't have the answers. But I think there is a way that can be done. In terms of SANAC as a structure that is the body that brings government, civil society, and private sector together to try and manage the HIV-TB scourge, we've got a men's sector. In that men's sector, they've got something called the men's parliament, men championing change, and boys championing change. And this is where men, Sisi, are standing at the forefront and saying, we are the champions to ending GBV. I think they just need the platforms to showcase them.
Thank you.
And then just lastly, Mrs. Criselda, there's data that came out about a month ago where 23,000 girls in Gauteng, between, I think teenagers were labeled as pregnant, teenagers. But what was scary was about 1,000 of those were between the ages of 10 and 14. It comes back to pedophilia. What 10-year-old would agree to having sex? And the truth is, as SANAC, as a government-led structure, one of the things that we've seen, for instance, is that on Christmas Day, for instance, you'd have Christmas babies being born. And, people congratulating this hospital has got babies born, but nobody ever says the mother is 10 and the father is 18. So that is statutory rape. Yes, or 50. So we now as SANAC, through our technical task team, are seeing how better we can bring the relationship between the Department of Social Development as the custodian of children and the Department of Health, so that when health picks those things up, they're reported to DSD and then to corrections, if corrections needs to get involved, so they're reported. So I can promise you that is what coordination means under my leadership at SANAC.
Thank you. Mrs. Lebu? I have to put a disclaimer. I know you're a wordsmith, but time is not on our side.
That's okay.
Thank you.
If black people in our communities would turn places where we meet, where we make SAB rich, which is not a South African company, by the way. into places where we learn and we question and we unlearn, we will be dangerous. They are pumping us with alcohol because they know the power that is within us. So it is about time that we question why every billboard in a township is an alcohol billboard. And all the knowledge is hidden away from us. So as young people normally say, vugadaki.
Vogataki. And Chandiswa Mazwai said it. Nizalwa ngobani na.
Amen.
Yes, just a quick one. I think Zuntulela bad, but it's Katasik. So,
That has nothing to do with me.
no. So I wanted to just say that with everything that has been said here by all these wonderful women with amazing knowledge, it is still up to us, all of us, and I'm saying us, including myself, sitting here as individuals, to be better people. You decide what you want out of your life. Whatever you see that is being thrown in front of you is not always for you. So the decision is yours. What do you want to see? Where do you want to see yourself in a couple of years to come? What do you want to be talked about? How do you want to be remembered as? Do you want to be blaming people forever for the decisions you could have taken with all the knowledge you have been given? No. So let's make the right decisions. Be hard on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your gift. Work hard because you've got what it takes to become better.
True.
So a question came to me about men. I have been in so much trouble for this statement. When you say men are trash, who gave birth to them? Who's
Exactly.
raising them?
Thank you.
And I leave it at that.
That's it.
Men are very important in the
Oh, they
conversation.
are.
None of my sons are trash.
Thank
We are all wounded in certain ways and forms and trying to make sense out of this living thing. Even the ones who are perpetrators of violence and hurting others, they've been hurt before.
Yes.
And we need such platforms
Absolutely.
to let out the hurt so that we can stop perpetuating hurt. Because hurt people hurt people.
Amen.
So this is where we end our session. It's so unfortunate that time was limiting. Next time, Empower Works, give this topic the whole session.
Yes.
Trust me, it will be fire in here. We do know and acknowledge that there's so much more that we would like to impart, but unfortunately time is just so not on our side. I was told by the organizers that the singing part has nothing to do with me. There's no way we can have an international
Amen.
singer and award-winning icon who will just come here.
Who's that?
I mean, when you go home and you say Judith Sipuma was there and you have no evidence, does that even make sense? Does that even make sense? Can I hear an applause that says Judith, 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 Judith. I rest my case.
Judith.
I rest my case.
And yes,
Okay. Zegeti. Hey, Zegeti. I'm calling it.
I tried. We're very serious. A1 nje, eti ifela. Let me say it kasipedi, eti ifela hle. I've even, sanitized this mask for you.
Mematswala.
Nayazi chorus.
Yes.
Memotswadi.
Yes.
Motswadi waka. Wangkhudisha.
Wangkhudisha.
Kalirato. Memotswadi. Komoya tomoya oh halale moya liti God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As you bore witness that it's not just talent, it's talent backed with intelligence and backed with grace. Thank you very much, Judith. This is where we end our session. Thank you to all those who participated, and congratulations to those who are also getting copies, free mahala, and I'll make sure they are autographed. And I just want to leave you with just a few words that as you go about figuring out life, as you heard from these this incredible panel, just be grateful for little things in your life. Be grateful that you are here. I mean, you being here is a miracle on its own. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it light. Somebody is drunk as a skunk right now, and you are here consuming knowledge that is going to make you a better person. Be grateful for that. And every morning, be grateful that you are alive. You could have been a cockroach, you know. And you are you. Just waking up and experiencing the beauty of life, the fact that we're able to see each other right now. The reason as abantu, as human beings, especially Africans, we say sawubona, is because we acknowledge the fact that I am because you are. Our greeting says ngiyakubona. Somebody came and said to us we shouldn't keep eyeballs because that's a sign of disrespect. Tina sithi ngiyakubona. And if my eyes are not open, I won't be able to see you. And wherever you are, whatever you do, exercise faith. Because faith does give you hope on things you don't see. There is a power that's way higher than you. When things happen to you, oftentimes it's not to you, it's for you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, for having shared with you. Enjoy the rest of the sessions, and thank you to EmpowaWorks for thinking of our young people. We never had this, and I know by now DJ is going to follow with something nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, empower women. To that. Tada. Today. Tala. Thank you very, very much. Let's put our hands together for a very powerful panel. Can we do that? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ebo, achu.
Swell.
Yebo. Vamos macha Ivan. Yebo, achu.
Ooh, yeah.
Swell. Swell. Swell.
Ooh, yeah.
Swell. Isandla moyeni. Hayibo, isandla moyeni. That was good. Swell, Nkosi yami. Wow. Ngikutshelile njalo khona ama t-shirts sikhona incwadi. Umuntu omusha, protect your Mzansi account. Protect your Mzansi account. Tell your neighbor, protect your Mzansi account. Yes. Oyedwa uzojiva na i-t-shirt. Oyedwa uzojiva na i-t-shirt bese ngihlala phansi. Woo! Singapore. Those. What is that? Night t-shirt. Onendlebe makayeswa. Onendlebe uzwile. Sesizongena bazalwane siqhubeke kwenye session. Ngifuna ngizomupha le t-shirt. Ukhona ufuna i-t-shirt? Ukhona ufuna
Aritsamai rona.
Rilo bana mo.
Ay, aritsamai rona. Oza majaivan.
Woza
Oza majaivan.
Naba basesikoleni nayi t-shirt. Was. Hayi.
Siyabonga teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering panel discussions. The first one. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. It's a fire day today. I can feel the energy. It's been such a pleasure to start coming out and talking to people in for real, like face to face, because I telling on my screen. So I must firstly say thank you, Mr. Masiza, for inviting me. I'll tell you a little bit about how I know Usimpiwe. So yes, my name is Amanda Dambuza. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a mom to 3 children. I am a wife. I sit on boards. I am a mentor. I do all sorts of things. I have authored 2 books with a 3rd one coming out soon. Yeah, I do a lot. But what I want to tell you today, and it's called a homecoming for a reason. I was one of those people that moved to Orange from Mshengoville in 1991. So I spent a good couple of years of my life in Orange Farm as a teenager. But you know, I'll start where that started, because I think it's so easy when you are finding yourself in a situation, a hard situation. It's easy to think that things will always be like that. It's easy to think, my options are where I'm stuck where I am, whatever your situation is. But I mean, guys, Orange Farm, umama musahlala lana etu, and that's how I met Usimpiwe, by the way, Mr. Yamasiza. And sahlala emikhukhwini, but even in Mshengoville before we moved here, sahlala emikhukhwini, kwakuyi reality yethu leyo. But I think the one thing that we all have that God has gifted us, it doesn't belong to some and not others, is dreaming. You know, we all have dreams, we all have wishes. The difference is, what do you do about them? So it is a great pleasure to be here to share a little bit of my story. I grew up in the Transkei and I wasn't raised by my parents. I've never even met my father. And all of these conversations that the ladies just had, you know, every single part of it, every part of those conversations has touched a part of my own experience in some shape or form. And I really think that one of the greatest gifts that you guys have in this day and age is platforms like this. These are not platforms that we had when we were growing up. And, you know, when I was asked to come in and speak, I was like 100%. I was just like, I'm going to reshuffle my day and I'm going to come. And, you know, I grew up without my parents, which also meant that, unfortunately, I grew up in an environment that was very abusive, an environment where I wasn't protected or nurtured. But let me fast forward to when I came to live in Joburg with my mother. I like every kid, you know, Orange Farm, you're trying to do schooling here and there. In fact, I was sent off to Lesotho when I came to live with my mom here. She sent me off to Lesotho to try and enroll at Lesotho High, which was a great school at the time. But you know what I was still carrying inside of me as a young teenager, being raised by extended family who were not exactly kind or nurturing. The abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and emotional, and just that psychological breakdown. It was still a lot. So when she sent me off to Lesotho, it was supposed to be a great opportunity for me, but in fact, it excluded and alienated me even more. I'm the last born of 3, and I was really looking forward to reconnect with my mom, but it didn't happen. Now, again, I was faced with what was interpreted by my brain as a rejection and an abandonment. A rejection and an abandonment. Because my mother left me when I was a baby. My father wanted nothing to do with me because I was born a girl. And all of these experiences in life, they define who we are. And you know, when I came to live with her and she sent me off, I figured, okay, well, it's true really, she doesn't want me. Because this is what I was told when I was growing up. So at the back of that, I mean, I came back, thank God she grew a conscience and came and fetched me. And I was a 13-year-old navigating a country that I'd never known all by myself, a language I didn't speak. The school didn't accept me because I didn't speak Sesotho. I only spoke Xhosa. I came from the Transkei. So, but again, for me, the experience there was just reflecting back and just sitting with myself and appreciating, as a child, as I was, appreciating that I might be going through a hard time now, but it's not going to last forever. At some point, I'm going to grow older. So I'm one of those people, if you asked me when I was younger, what would you like to be when you're older? My answer was always, I want to grow older. I just want to be an adult, because clearly, adults, they do whatever they want. So I also want to be an adult, but mine was about, I want to be an adult so that I can start doing things that I want to myself, for myself. I wanted to get over the hurdles that I was facing in life in the hands of people who were supposed to have been nurturing me. Now, whatever reasons, whatever happened, I'm not telling my mother's story or my father's for that matter. It is my story. And coming back from Lesotho, I was in standard 8, I was 13 years old, I had half a year lost, I was up and down, Lenasia South School, Lens. I ended up getting my standard 8 at Ahatuto. Ahatuto le ngase renkeng ne? Yeah, Buyelap. And I got my standard 8 and then I went and enrolled at school in town. It doesn't exist anymore. It was in the building, a building, Pritchard Street. And it was called Spectrum Girls High. I got my matric there. But the beautiful thing about it is that my matric certificate is valid, okay? Even though most of these so-called fly-by-night schools don't exist anymore. But you know, every time I caught the train here at Stratford and go to town, Park Station, I used to catch the train every morning around 5 o'clock, 5:20. If I was lucky enough to get on the train. I don't know, I'm a train anjan manje, but back then, Asafan, ayo, awaseko, agupi. Eh? Am I cabled? Oh, okay. So it's really bad. Okay, so I used to be one of those people that would just, you know, when sometimes you're just hanging by the door, just in your bambelele nje, okay, elens at least khona abantu abazophuma and then again. So I faced that for the many years I was in high school, and pretty much like Jackie already said, you know, you are young, you get involved in relationships with older men purely because it looks like there's no alternative for you. But it doesn't matter what you go through in life and what mistakes you make. What matters is recognizing that you are doing the wrong thing and getting yourself out of it. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, people would rather do the wrong thing and be comfortable than bazikhuze, because we all have the ability yokuzikhuza. That's the one thing we are born with, and yes, we do learn right or wrong from our environment, from our parents, from our caregivers, auntie, gogo, malume, you name it. But we all fall into that, especially when you remotely is interested in you, actually is genuinely interested in you, but they're not. They know what they want. So, it's not like these are things that we didn't come across, but the difference is making the decision to change it. So yeah, I think I had one boyfriend who was older than me, much older, and I was like, this is not right, And unfortunately, I get kuzayo. This is not right. So you have to learn all of these things by yourself. But thank God I yanked myself out of that. All I'm saying to you is I'm not going to stand here and pretend to be this perfect human being who flew into the success that she has. No, we all make mistakes. We all grow and learn. We all have to recalibrate and find our way again, because it's not the right way. That I think has already been said. But having said that, one of the things that I've always focused on, because in my head I knew I don't have a mother to run to. I don't have a father to run to. I don't have really much of a family to run to. So which meant I had to rely on myself a lot. And education is one of the things that I never compromised on. Even back when I was in the Transkei, my schooling was my escape. Even when I came here, I'd go to school in the day, come back home, do my chores, and I just bury myself in the books. But then, there was one time, ngangithanda amakhadi. Niyadlala amakhadi? Yeah? Yeah. Ngangithanda ukudlala amakhadi. Sibhelje ngeuzuka. Uzuka nimroundise for 2 hours, uzuka oyi-1. Because we were entertaining ourselves and trying to make money. And my mother didn't take kindly to that. So, shaya. I think there was a time when she threw a bag of potatoes and onions at me because I came back home late. But again, I feel like, one of the things that I've always relied on, and I know this for a fact, is my work ethic. So I worked hard at school. I finished matric. It was time to start a university. And I remember I told Mami 5 rand to catch the train at the Park Station. And when I got to Park Station and I walk across what is now the Mandela Bridge to get to Wits University, you had Wits, a gentleman there talked about Wits. But yeah, I went to Wits University. But I didn't know what to study because I had never really had a conversation with anyone about what career options are available for me, what I would like to do, what my passions are. And I get there, and I'm navigating this life all by myself as usual, as always. I get there, and Wits is huge. Everything was big. Senate House is big. And it doesn't matter what institution you go to. When you come from a place of nothing or very little, every other place that's new to you and is just huge and unfamiliar. But I think one of the things I started to feel there was how lonely my life had been and how lonely I was. Because there were children there with scores of, parents, aunts, great-grandchildren. Sometimes they're the first one to go to university. And I would stand there and look at them and think, wow, they must feel so loved, because they've got this tribe of people around them who are walking them through this whole new journey. And I had to stand there and just navigate this thing by myself. My English wasn't even that good. I couldn't even I could piece a couple of words together, but I couldn't actually speak proper, the English that you speak when you walk in those corridors. But the one thing I relied on was my ambition, was my dream to become something more. My dream was to actually prove to those who said I would grow up to be nothing, was to prove that actually I think I can make a plan about that. I owed it to myself. I owed it to myself to prove them otherwise. But along the way, whilst I was busy trying to prove it to them, I realized that I was actually proving it to myself. Because God does not create you and dump you on this earth to become nothing. So it doesn't matter who tells you that from today on, do not believe it. You might be in a hard spot, you might be in a tough spot, things might not be great, things might not be looking well. It's not like COVID has helped at all. But COVID has also brought on multiple opportunities. And I'll talk a little bit about how I think you can uncover those. So anyway, I got to Wits and I asked this lady at registration. I didn't have registration fee. Registration fee was 4,000 rands at the time. I only had 5 rand in my pocket to catch the train and come back to Orange Farm. And I said to her, I really would like you to just listen to my story. I want to tell you where I've come from. And I want to tell you about how hard my life has been, but I'm here trying to change it. And I said, please, if you just hear me out, and then you can guide me and see where I should go, because I don't know where to go next. She looked at me, you know those registration windows? She looked at me and said, I must get out of the way. She's like, Suk. So I sat there and I thought, okay, this is not going as I hoped it would, because I was pulling at the heartstrings, thinking, Inhliziyo izotamba and listen to me. But she didn't. And before she closed up and left around 3 o'clock, she looked at me. She said to me, oh, you're still here? And I said, yes. She shut that door down and left. So I sat there, and this room I was in felt even larger because I was now the only person left. I hadn't eaten all day, because there was no money for food. The only money I had was to catch the train from here to Park Station and walk to Braamfontein. So I picked myself up and I walked back to Park Station and I cried on my way. And I figured, you know what? This didn't go according to plan. And for a minute, I felt sorry for myself. I said, why must things be so hard? Why must every single thing be so hard? But that's just life. That's just what I was dealt. So I got on that train. I came back home and I told my mother it didn't happen. So bengceluzame enye 5 rand, 10 rand in fact. Yoguti, I catch the train again tomorrow because I'm not going to give up. So I went back and I didn't give up. And I spoke to this lady again. And she said, oh, it's you again. I'm like, yeah. But remember, she deals with 3,000 students at a time. So she had no time, capacity, or interest to listen to me. But eventually, she said, come here. Because I went back and I sat down. I didn't go. I sat there. And she called me back and said, okay, what are you saying? And I'm like, and I'm trying to build my life. And she's like, guidance office. So she sent me to the guidance office. It was the best thing that has ever happened to me, because now I could sit and talk to somebody who gets paid to listen to troubled children like me. So I want to say to you, whatever platform you get, whatever access to people, access to information you get, use it as probably the only opportunity you're ever going to get in life to change your life, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And I hear all sorts of conversations around social media. Remember, it's us who are on social media. These social media platforms don't create themselves, we do. So we have to be conscious about what we are putting out. What sort of messages are we trying to put out? Also, who are you following and why are you following them? Because you might think that no man, your mind is consuming it. Every single thing you look at with your eyes, your mind takes in. And you start feeling less and less about yourself. Social media platforms aren't these monsters they're made out to be. There's also really positive people on social media. And I think you should find those and follow those. So anyway, to cut story short, and to me, I know I still have time, so you're just going to have to let me know when I start running out of time. One of the things I did when I spoke to the guidance officer, I said to him, listen, I've had a really rough childhood. I'm still trying to find who I am and redefine who I am. And I said to him, I really would like to know, how does society work? how are cultures formed? How does society hang together? Tell me, like, I want to know the basics of society. What kind of a father rejects their newly born daughter? What kind of mother leaves that daughter? What kind of aunts, uncles, what drives people to treat little children the way that I was treated? Now remember, there's no blame here. It's just trying to understand. Because if I can understand it, then I can change it. If you can't understand something, you can't change it. If you want to change anything about life, first learn it and understand the rules. There are many reasons why decisions were made. There are many reasons why my mother opted for other choices. You know, some decisions seem like the right decisions when they're being made. It's the consequences of them. Yeah? So, anyway, I ended up studying a BA in social sciences. So I majored in social anthropology, sociology, and I did a bit of psychology as well. And I soon realized that whatever answers I was trying to find, they don't exist. There isn't a single answer that I will get in life that makes up for the things that I have gone through, or that even remotely explains them. But the answer I did find, which is what I really appreciated in life, was circumstances are circumstances. You don't always choose your circumstances. In fact, you don't choose your circumstances. What you have a choice on is what happens beyond your circumstances. That's the one thing I learned. And I learned that every single answer I needed in life resided inside of me. I learned that nobody was going to do anything for me. Nobody ever came to rescue me when I was a kid. It wasn't going to start happening now. So I always had to rely on myself. And I didn't come from a family where I could pick up the phone and be like, hey, listen, I'm in a jam, please help me out. Which meant I had to rely on myself a lot. It's easy to blame everybody and everyone for your misery. That's the easiest thing to do. We all have it, by the way. It's not uniquely for some and not everyone. We all have it. But how does it change your life? So I eventually, I was accepted into Wits University. There was no money. So I winged it for 6 months. You know when you're like, hey, fees haven't been paid, but I keep going to class, I keep going to lectures, I keep writing tests and things. And I kept queuing every single day. I would queue for what was TEFSA at the time, is now NESFAS. The problem that I had was I was not poor enough. I was not poor enough. You know when the uprising started and the whole concept of the missing middle? I was the missing middle. Some kids had nobody working in their homes. My mom was working. She was an orthodontic nurse, but she was only earning 10,000 rands. She couldn't afford to look after a family of 4 or 5 and then still take me to school. So my issue was that I wasn't poor enough, but I clearly didn't have money either. So it was a big challenge. But one of the things I started doing was working. So I worked my way through university. It was after 6 months that I finally got approval for a bursary, for a student loan, in fact, of which 40% was a bursary if you passed all your subjects. I don't know if it's still like that now, but it sounds like you guys don't even have to pay back anything anymore. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we should start earning our keep in some shape or form. I also worked for the rest, and then I think 40% I had to pay back, 20% I had to work for. I did every single job you can think of. Every single job you can think of. There was no one to give me money, and I was not about to go into relationships with men I had no business being in relationships with. So I took the harder route. I worked. I used to stand at the corners of traffic lights and dish out pamphlets. I used to work at coffee shops till 2 o'clock in the morning. I used to do stock taking. Discam, Pick and Pay, you name it, all these big retailers. I would do stock taking till 3 in the morning. I worked. All I did when I was at varsity was work and study, and then throw in a little party here and there because I was young. And I'm telling you all these things because I'm saying to you, whilst you wait for somebody to rescue you, you're probably going to wait all your life. And I'm telling you all these things because I want you to know I'm a real living example of someone who has come from hardship. Not just hardship in terms of the environment, maybe you're in a township, there aren't services, I have come from serious internal demons too, where I had to yank myself out of negative scripts that I may have been fed as a child to tell myself that actually I am worthy and I deserve a good life. And I was going to work for it. And I wasn't waiting for someone to do it for me. And opportunities are all around us. They're all around us. And I've achieved so much. I always say to people, you can Google me. No, but I worked hard. This is how the conversation with Simpiwe Masiza started. I got my first job out of varsity. You know how easy it was for me to get hired after varsity? It was so easy. I was hired by a large insurance company. Why was it easy for me to get hired? Because I already had work experience. Yeah? Because I had been working throughout my varsity life. So every single piece of work you do doesn't go to waste. It is experience, which is something a lot of graduates struggle with. You know, you have zero experience and then you want a job and then people are like, we want experience. And then, so start working wherever you are, whatever it is, start doing something. Anyway, so after about 3 months in this job, I was working at a call center. I was taking calls from old pensioners who were not paid largely. I sat there, I was like, I know there's no way this is going to be my life because I didn't feel like I was helping them at all, you know. Ugogo ambe 10 kilometers to get to a pay point and then they're not paid. And somehow they find a phone, and there I am, I have no answer for her. I just felt I wasn't going to be able to. So I told Simpiwe, who was a family friend, I said to Simpiwe, I'm done with this place. I'd rather not have a job. I'm done. But I was convinced that I was going to get something else, you know. And he said to me at the time, he owned a project management firm. He was in partnership with a big project management company. And he said to me, why don't you come and try out this project administration thing? We'll introduce you to some people. So I became an intern, project administrator intern. I was that person who, you know, in a workshop like this, I had to make sure that this was clean, the podium was clean, the flip charts were working, the pens were working, make coffee, take minutes. I was just like the runaround for people, but I did it with pride. I did it with such passion because it was an opportunity I was not going to waste. This company was offering, they had an academy, and there isn't a training they offered I did not attend. And every time a senior person was going to do a workshop or training, I was the one volunteering to help them, you know, with the admin and clean up the rooms, because I was learning. I was getting in. This was a gift that nobody in my life could have ever given me. Free training, right? But it wasn't free because I was working for it. That's how I got into project management. In my entire career, I started in project. That's how I got in. I became a trained project manager before I was even a practicing project manager. And that saw me rise up in my career. My work ethic saw me rise up in my career. My last corporate job, I was a chief information officer at a large bank called ABSA. At the time, it was called Barclays Africa. Yeah. But I worked to get there. So nobody could even make me feel like I don't belong there. This imposter syndrome concept never even touched me because I knew what it took for me to get there. I knew my journey and how hard I worked to get there. But people can only just open a door for you. Just open a door for you. What you do when you're inside the door is completely up to you. And it really, really disheartens me when I open doors for young people and they walk in there and they mess it up big time. Because somehow young people these days, and it's definitely not you guys, I mean, you look like you got this, yeah? But young people get opportunities and they treat them as though, no, another one is going to come. Another one's going to come. And they're so important, too important to do the tough things. So don't be so important that you forget that you still have dreams that you're chasing. You can never be too important for yourself. So I didn't mind doing the tough jobs. I mean, I even had friends at varsity who were like, oh, Amanda, you would even scrub toilets just to get some money. And I'm like, as if it was a bad thing. I wasn't riding poles somewhere to get money. So it's all about choice. It's all about decisions. And every single decision you make is about enabling what your next is. It's about enabling what your next is. So careful how you carry yourself wherever you are, because that person that's due to open the next door could be right there watching you. Your next can come from anywhere. All I did was just tell Mr. Masiza that Mina, I'm done with this place. I didn't even ask him for anything. I just told him, I'm done. But I betted on myself and I took an opportunity. Today I run one of the most successful project management consulting firms in this country. Today, I am known as Amanda Dambuza, the first black female chairperson of a bank in South Africa. Today, I enjoy my success. And I have it, Shem. Yeah. I have it because I've worked for it. And no one can take it away from me. Not a single person. There's not a single person who can stand on any podium and say, Amanda, I made you. Nobody. But I've had people along the way who saw my potential and helped me. And for me, success is not about the cars, the houses, those are things. Those are things that can be taken away from you anytime. That's not my success. My success is having risen above what was my circumstances. My success is that. My success is redefining the perception I had of myself. Yeah? If you sit there and you think, oh, you'll amount to nothing, oh, things will never work out fine for you, oh, this, oh, that will be your reality. I redefined who I was. I rebuilt the foundation with the bricks that I wanted. And I was like, that's it. I'm done being held captive by my past, my circumstances, my environment. I was like, I'm just going to have to push on with this thing. So please dream big. Please dream. Even if, Betty, you are ambitious, it's fine. Ambition is a good thing. Do not go around shrinking yourself and shrinking your ambition because you don't want to be seen as though uzenza ngcono. It's your ambition. It's your dreams. The same people who talk to you and tell you uzenza ngcono or talk about you behind your back are not there giving you money every day to have food on your table. So don't go around listening to people and their small opinions about who you should become. That's between you and your God and your beliefs. So I've achieved so many things. I'm a great mom to 3 children. My twin girls are 14. My little guy will be 11 next month. And I look at them and I say, thank you, God. Thank you for the opportunity, not just to heal through them, because you don't realize what God has in your path. Not just to heal through them, but to learn what it is to love, nurture, and protect. Something I never had. So I could have said, yeah, I didn't have it and go the other way. These monsters we talk about that roam the streets, They didn't just fall out of the sky. Somebody gave birth to them. Somebody raised them. So I'm grateful for the lessons that I've had in life. I'm grateful for my journey because without it, I wouldn't be standing here. But above everything else, I'm the person that has chosen to be joyful. I chose to chase away the darkness. I worked very hard. There isn't a priest I didn't see. There isn't a psychologist I didn't see. You know what you're carrying inside. You have got to seek help where you need help. Some of these fights, we can't fight them by ourselves. And I hope that throughout this week and beyond, whatever you are getting here, you will find something that you can use to just prop yourself up and keep going with your own dreams. I mean, I'll take a week trying to tell you what I've achieved, but no. You can Google me. But above everything else, I take all the lessons I've had in my life and I help others through platforms like this, through my own mentorship platform on YouTube. I know you've got data, so you can watch it on YouTube. It's called Vastly Sage. You can subscribe for free. I do mentorship there. And I also have a talk show where I've brought really amazing people because it's easy to constantly want to listen to your own voice. So I like to bring other perspectives, and we do that as mentorship. So I've got amazing people who have come onto the platform. And I do a lot of online. And this is what I'm saying, that social media is not a monster. You choose what you're consuming. So before I close, let me before Dumi tells me about time, let me quickly say some things. So I really think that it's possible to turn your life around. And I don't think it's possible. I know it. I know it's possible. But there are so many things that you have to do and really change your mindset around your own perception of yourself and your own perception of what you believe you deserve. I think everybody deserves a great life. So why do you not think you don't? Because we are often so quick to applaud others and wish for others. But when do you actually ever look at how far you've come and how long you still have to go and say to yourself, you're on the right path, keep going. And forget about other people's lanes. The problem is tando khoba. Yeah, it's abantu bafuna ukukhoba ukuthi umakhelwane wenzani. Abantwana bakhona badlani. What cars are they driving? Stick to your lane. That's one thing I've done successfully in my life. Half the time I don't even notice who's doing what because I'm so obsessed in my own lane and following God's voice. I listen to where God is sending me, and that's where I go. Because when you're busy looking at other people's lives, the noise is a lot. It's a lot. And it's true. They act like they're successful on these Insta streets. But some of them, even I know, I'm like, no, namanga. They're like, I know your things. So don't go around looking at other people. They have nothing to offer you. I can tell you that. But you have so much to offer yourself. You owe it to yourself. Because no one's going to do it for you. Lindy government. So, you can definitely turn your life around. And here's some encouraging words that I really, really think have pushed me and propelled me forward. And I hope that you find something in them that you can use. Reevaluate your attitude. Yeah? Check your attitude in simple terms. Blaming everyone and not taking full responsibility for your life doesn't get you anywhere. You can blame everyone. You can point fingers at every single person that's available, and there are so many. But how does it help you? So use that energy to change your mindset about how you think about your situation. And how you see the world is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. I'll say that again. How you see the world is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. Be so careful about what you put out there. Stop complaining. And I'm linking this to the above. Stop complaining. Negative talk turns away positive people. I'm that person. I meet you, and all I hear is this negative, complaining, victim. I'm like, sure, my energy can't handle that. I've worked so hard to be where I am mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I can't have people drag me down back there. But I appreciate somebody who says, listen, things are tough, but I'm trying. Somebody who says, you know what? I didn't feel like doing it today. But I talked to myself and I said, you know what the consequence is if you don't get up and do it. I have time for people who say, I have tried 1, 2, 3. I'm stuck. Please help me. I have time for that. I have more than time for that, in fact. So I think I'm not even going to say more about social media. I think we already heard a lot. Be careful what you consume, because so many of those people are there to just make you feel like you're failing. That time, they already failed. They're not even trying. All they're doing now is just faking it. So careful what you consume. And, you know, I don't know if I mean, you guys are growing up in this world of social media and stuff. I'm 43 years old. When I was growing up, it didn't exist. So, in a way, there's such beauty in it because you get to access platforms and people you never would have before. But the responsibility is yours to see what you consume. Listen to content that inspires. Take a book. Pick up a book. Read it. Your life's not going to change if you don't. Use your time productively. Guys, brainstorm ideas about how to change your lives. Don't talk about people. Don't talk about people. And anyone who comes to you to talk about people, they do the same about you. Backsleba. Yeah? Every opportunity they get, bazokuhleba, bazothatha indaba zakho, bayozitshela abanye. So don't take part in games like that. They don't build. Brainstorm ideas about how to build yourselves up. Take up a hobby, find a passion. Learn a new skill. Learn a new skill. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything. And it may just be the skill you need to turn your life around. It may not just be that opportunity you need to build that big business, that empire. Find some ways to help others. Volunteer and gain valuable experience. If you are not employed, don't just sit at home and do nothing. Please find something to do. We all know what happens when young people are just idle at home. The most dangerous thing in our nation is idle young people. Idle young people. I left corporate 7.5 years ago to start my company, Uyandiswa, because I could not stomach being this big honcho in those big 4 walls, getting paid lots of money, and my country is burning. I came out to create jobs and be at the cold face of it. I can't help everyone, I know that. But my best is good enough, and I do it. Bet on yourself. In whatever you do, please bet on yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one will. Can I tell you this? No one will. And people meet you where you are. People meet you where you are. If you just have a little belief in yourself and start pushing, the people who are going to help you open that door are going to find you. Sell something, guys, please. If you're unemployed, sell something. I've been selling things since I was 23 years old. I've sold flowers, nail polish, shoes, handbags, You name it. I found my hands on it and I sold it. Because the one thing I learned from my childhood, and when I told you I wanted to grow older, it's because I don't want anyone to own my destiny. I don't even ask for money from my husband. But ngiyayidla, goed. But I am independent. There can be no women emancipation without financial independence. Now I'm talking to the girls. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't make your own money. As I wrap up, careful of the company you keep. Don't just have friends for the sake of having friends. Please, ngicela be choosy. Nizibone, yabona? You should be like, there's no way I'm going to be with those people because they don't think the way I think. Be positive in your thinking. And the more you choose people who are positive and people who are driven and who want to change their lives, the more you choose people who actually care about how they treat others, the better you become as a human being. And mind your pride. Some of you, you are so proud, you won't ask for help, but then you go to bed hungry. What's the point in being proud and hungry? Ukuthengisa ama vegetables at the corner is not just for ogogo. If you need food on the table, do what you need to do. Work. Yeah? So don't be so proud that you don't ask for help. You don't ask for that little boost to start something. But bet on yourself whilst you do that. And have faith that all your efforts will eventually come together. Because in life, there isn't anything, any work that you do that doesn't eventually pay off, especially if you're willing to bet on yourself. And times can be hard. That's not the end of them. That's not the end of you. You're still breathing. You're young. You've got limbs. You've got brains. You've got your hands. Do something. If there's something that you please just take away from this, is bet on yourself. And get up and chase your dreams, whatever it takes. Thank you so much for having me.
Ezandleni. We can do better than that. Thank you so much. Siyabonga. Amanda Damboza, multi-award winning entrepreneur. Let's give her a hand again.
Thank you so much.
One beautiful thing about this presentation is that Usisi is from here. She echoed what I was saying earlier on when I started about Orange Farm. The people came from Mshenguville, then they were displaced. They then went to Ipelecheng. Through all that, she comes, she emerges, she becomes powerful. Ezandleni futhi. Let's just give her a powerful round of applause. I'm not going to waste time with you. I know you're tired. Just stand quickly. Stand quickly so that we're going to have the last speaker for this session. Then immediately we go to lunch. Is that good? Yeah, let's stretch. Come on, let's stretch. Yeah, let's stretch. Come on. You stretch. So this is what we are going to do in a quick one. Everybody look at me. Everybody look at me. All the beauty is here. You do what I say, not what I do. You do what? You remember I'm a product of Bantu education. You do what I do, what I say, not what I do. Quickly, everybody stretch your hand. Stretch your hand, stretch your hand. You do what I say, not what I do. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Bring it. Okay, let's start again. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Touch your chin. 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 You are not listening. You are not listening. Chin. We're continuing. We are having the last speaker for this session. Without any waste of time, can we welcome Dr. Thabo Lohukwe, founder and chairperson of Tafari Capital. Let's put our hands together for him as he comes and gives us insight gained through my leadership journey, we can do better. Yes, 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 yes. Round of applause, round of applause, round of applause.
And this is working. From there, I can change it.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Another round of applause. Another one. Another one. Last one.
Good idea. Thank you very much. My name is Thabo Lehlokwe. I feel so honored to be standing here today to especially share my experiences with the youth. And hopefully it will make a difference, if not in one, hopefully in most of you. I listened very carefully to what Amanda and the previous speakers have said, and I think you need to learn from that. I've got a little presentation. I hope it's going to work. Can you set it up, please? Yeah. Can I? Right. The topic for me for today is, it's about talking about my journey through my leadership, how I got to where I am. Let me start from the beginning. Who is Thabo Lehlokwe? And I'll get to some of these things, but I think it's important to see, when you look at me today, you must see yourself, most of you are under 20, and those that are, so about 30 odd years ago, I was one of you then. Fast forward to the future, this is where I am. Now, if you look at, I don't know if you can actually see it. Sorry. Can you go back to the other slide, please? Yeah. That leader in the front there, if you look at this dog in the front, it's doing all the work, right? And the others behind it are just following through the path that particular first dog has created for them. When somebody says, I am who I am because I stand in the shoulders of giants, people that have come before me have created the path for me, that is what you're talking about. That is the one person who has actually done what most people are not wanting to do. They just want to follow. But he or she has created a path where none existed and others follow. Leadership is about influence. You cannot lead if you cannot influence people. You need to influence people so that they can follow you and follow your ideas, and you give them a vision of what is it that they are following. That's very crucial. You need to motivate people to get them to be where they need to go. So if you look at an issue of leadership, and the last point there is a very crucial one. Everyone, every single one of you can be a leader. It's not for certain people. Yes, some may look like they're born to be leaders, but you can learn how to be, and you can push. Next slide, please. So, where did it all start? I come from Letsane in Soweto. I grew up there. I went to school in a place called Lorchabesi Primary School. I'm sad to say that Not so long ago, I went there and actually wanted to post that, but I felt this was a better choice of slide. I went there not so long ago, and I was really, really upset when I saw my school. It was actually closed down. I still do not understand why schools in Soweto are closing down, or they've closed down, they've been left derelict, it's broken down. It's unbelievable, but that is the case. A source of, education, guys, education is so important. When they talk about education being the key, take note. They didn't say education is going to make you successful. They said it is the key to success. What that means is that it just opens the door, right? It opens the door. Now you have to get in there. What you do when you are in there is largely dependent on what you learned, but it's also dependent on something a lot more than that. And I will talk about it because these are some of the soft skills that people don't seem to understand. The things that make you successful. Your attitude, we've mentioned, and I'm going to talk about it there. It's crucial. Your perseverance, your ability to work hard, integrity, all these things that everybody takes for granted, these are things that are essential to make you successful in life. And let me assure you, there's no one whose life is easy, nobody. If you think that your life must be easy, forget it. You'll never succeed in life. Understand that every single one of us has their own demons that they're fighting. Everyone, it doesn't matter. You have your own demons that you're fighting. And only those who recognize those demons and say, I am going to do something about these. And not sit back and say, what can I do? And become a victim of your circumstances. Once you become a victim, you are unable to change your life because you are dependent on someone else to do it for you. Okay. Everything that you do is dependent on the choices you make. The one thing about us as human beings is that God created us with something called free will. The ability to choose things. Life can throw all sorts of things to you. What's critical is not what is thrown to you or is thrown at you. What's critical is what you do about them. You understand? So when somebody says, there's a saying that says, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades, right? What does that mean? Is that life gave you something difficult, something hard, but you chose how you respond to it. So don't give away your choice. Own it. This is my choice. This is my life. I choose which way I'm going to respond to the circumstances. You are bigger than circumstances that you have been born into, that you grow into. You are bigger than that. You can choose to decide today that, you know what, I am going to be better. Like I said, I grew up in Soweto. I knew, maybe in a sense, this is not fair for everybody because some people, even when they finished studying at varsity, they still don't know what to do. But I knew from when I was a kid that I wanted to be a doctor. I knew that. And all my life I worked towards that goal because I knew this is what I wanted. When I passed matric, my experience is quite different to that of Sis Amanda here, who was here. 1976, when it all happened, I was taken to Lesotho. In 1978, I was already in high school. I was quite young. 1976, I was actually 12 years old, but I was in high school. I was doing Form 1. And then I went to Lesotho. It was probably one of the best things that happened to my life. So I was 14 years old. I was away from home. But that taught me one thing: to be independent, to begin to rely on myself to get things done. Yes, I needed the support of the family and everything else, but it gave me the opportunity to become independent and to get things. You know, when I was young, 7 or 8, I used to sell oranges at home. I used to sell these things and just to try and make some money. And when I slightly got a little bit older, I used to catch a train to Brixton. There used to be a Pick and Pay there. I used to go and become a packer. Push, make some money. And it's not even because if I didn't do that, I would not eat. It's not because of that. But it's because I had this thing that I need to do something by myself, to learn skills. Because, believe it or not, selling is a crucial skill. In fact, every single one of us is a salesperson, sells something. When you want something and you need to convince somebody of that, you are selling to them. Okay? If you don't get what you want, it means you didn't do a good sale. But the end of the day is you are selling to them. So, this slide is a very important slide to me because this made me decide. Like I told you, I chose when I was very young. I was younger than you guys. I chose that I am not going to let another person tell me what's good for me. It's a choice that I made. I knew I was better than that. I chose that I'm not going to let someone say, Bonamfet, if you don't do this, you won't belong to my crew. You won't be part of us. We are the smart guys, you are not. If you don't do what I say, you won't be part of us. And I said, anybody who forces me to do something that is not good for me is not a good person for me to follow. Anybody that tells you that for you to be loved and put conditions for you to belong is dependent on you doing something that you are not comfortable with, that's not the person you want to be with. You have a choice to decide now. You are still young enough to be able to choose. There's another thing. Every choice has consequences. Every choice. Whatever you choose to do or not do has consequences. You must choose and be comfortable with the consequences of your choice. They may be good, they may be bad, but you must understand, when I say I want to do this, you know that there's going to be consequences. If those consequences are good, brilliant. If they are not, you must understand. You can't say, I didn't have a choice. You have a choice. That choice may not be easy. It may not be the one thing that works for you at that time. But it's a choice. anyway. It's not a good choice, it's not an easy choice, but it's a choice anyway. It's important to realize that you always have a choice. Now, when I made that point about, I'm 57 years old, so I'm an old guy. My firstborn son is 30, my daughter is 26, and I've got a little one who just rocked up. He's now 18. He's writing a matric. There's never a mistake here, guys. That's probably one of my, the most clever boy. I even under, whether are things easier now than they were then. But when I look at this, I can gladly make a statement today in front of you all that I've never laid a hand on my children. Not once. Not once have I ever felt the need to lay a hand on my children. Why? Because I made sure that haki hudisa bana ba ka, they respect me. They don't fear me, they respect me. There's a big difference. You are better off to get things done when people respect you than when they fear you. When they fear you, they'll do what you say, and behind your back, they'll be looking at ways and means to get back at you. And they will. If that's your only source of power, fear. And I'll deal with fear right now. But respect. How do you get respect? How do you get your children to respect? You get respect by making sure that you as a parent, you give them, you see that leadership, that dog, you lead, you show your children what is right and what is wrong. You do as you expect them to do as you do, not do as I say. I'm not a politician. I've never cut down to be one. So when I say something, I do it. I don't say it. I don't do it because only you must do what I say, and then now I do something else. And that's the reason why my children respect me, because when I say something, they know I mean what I say. I chose when I was young that I'm not going to drink alcohol, that I'm not going to smoke. Before I went to boarding school, I saw some of my friends, the same street we grew up, who went to boarding school a year or so ago before me. You know, when you get to boarding school, you are free, right? This is life. No parent is there to tell you, okay, the teachers, but on the whole, you are free. You can do what you want to do, right? They came back, 13, 14 years old. They were drunkards because of what they learned at school. And today, some of them, not in my area, at least that one is different, but some of the guys who started drinking at that age, you still see it today, the effects of that. I chose to say that I do not need to drink to be happy. In fact, I think I was a little bit, you could call it, okay, let me not use that word, but I felt that for me, and this doesn't say anything about anybody else, but for me, I felt that it's a sign of weakness for me to be able to tolerate my environment only if I'm drunk. And I chose to say, I will be happy regardless. When others have lost their minds because they are drunk, I'll be the one that's very sober. And you know how dangerous that can be, right? you are the only sober one amongst people that are drunk. So you can imagine, you can think all sorts of things. I won't get into that. But it was very important that I made those choices, because those choices have led to where I am today. I still don't drink, I still don't smoke, and there's nothing missing. I certainly don't have a poser face, and I'm sure if I did smoke at the time, I would have it. But this is a choice, guys. It's a choice. Everybody, sometimes they even don't understand that choice. But we're not wrong. How do you do it? Everybody does it. Why not you? It's a choice. You decide. Do you want to belong to that, or you want to belong to that? This is the choice that you are making today. Next slide, please. Do you see the slide on the far right? That picture. If anything that you can learn from today's talk is that we all have our plans in life, mostly. We all have a sense of what is it that we want to do. Some of them know that they want a better life. They may not know how to get there, and that's not even important. The important thing is to have a goal. To say, this is where I want to be successful in life. I want to be better than where I am in life at any point in the future. That's on the far right, on the top side. That's your plan. This is where I am today. In 5 years, if I do A, B, C, D, this is where I'm going to get to. Now, all of you, if you think back to when you were 5 or 6 years old, are you where today you thought you would be at the age that you are at today? Why not? I'm not talking about when you are older now. That's the future. That you still have to plan for that. But I'm talking something very recent in most of your lives. You thought you would be somewhere beyond where you are today, right? Or maybe some of you actually are where they wanted to be, and those are the lucky ones. But your plan almost always never works out the way you see it. And the reason for that is that you are not in control of everything that happens to you. You're only in control of everything that you can do to respond to it. But your circumstances, you are not in control of. And what's interesting, again, is that look at the flag at the end. Look at the height of that flag. And then go below to the photo below that. That's the reality. This is what life is. It hits you with all sorts of challenges. You heard what Sis Amanda was saying here about the kind of challenges that she grew up in, right? Those ups and downs, when you talk about ups and downs, those, sometimes you feel like, is it worth it? Can I go on in life? But if you push on and you manage to succeed, look where the end result is. Compared to when you just had that easy life that is like this. Yeah, if you are lucky, you might just get there. But what these challenges do to you, they make you improve, they make you learn, they make you better. Because I always make this example. You guys, have you seen a rough diamond? And you've seen the final diamond that glitters. How does the rough diamond go from being rough to the final glittery diamond that you see on very expensive stuff? How does it move from that point to that point? You chisel it, you cut it, You put it under a lot of pressure. Huh? You polish it. It didn't get there by its own. It had to go through those circumstances. Those difficult circumstances of being scrubbed, being chiseled, being cut, those are the things that it had to go through for it to become the glittering diamond that you see on that day. There's no diamond that just suddenly transforms by itself. Have you seen one? No. But this is the point. The difficult circumstances you see and you find yourself today are circumstances that are molding you. They are circumstances that are preparing you for something bigger, for something better. But you have to understand them to be that, so that you can be able to see beyond your immediate circumstances. Because unless you do that, you will not see what's beyond. You'll be focusing here. That's why it's important to have a goal, a vision. Because regardless of what happens here, you still say, that's where I want to go. Keep focusing on that and deal with these things. These are all side issues. They will take you to where you want to go. And unless you have that, you've got nothing that keeps you going. Does that make any sense? Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Because most of us are scared of trying. Why? We fear failure. Can you go back one step, please? Fear of failure is the thing that holds us back more than anything in life. What we don't realize is that in life, and this is quite controversial, and I'm prepared to make it because I can substantiate it. You fail more in life than you succeed. Did you know that? Did you know that in life, in everything that you fail more than you actually succeed? And yet, why is it that when people are taught, they never taught how to deal with failure? But they are all taught only about success. That which is elusive. We make failure an enemy. Something that we cannot, that I can tell you right now today, please take this. Do not fear failure. Failure is your friend. Because when you fail, you can learn something new. And when you learn something new, you grow and you become better. And next time, you are able to deal with your situations better than before. Anybody in life who's never failed at anything has never tried anything. You remember when you were young, you tried to walk. How many times did you fall? And did that kid or you as a child, did they ever stop trying to walk? Imagine if that kid stopped trying. Because in their minds, if I try to walk again, I'm going to fall. Where will that kid be today? Where will you all be today if you never persisted? So what I'm telling you is that you have been through this. You have tried to do stuff and repeatedly fell and fell and fell, and you repeatedly did it. But that did not stop you from trying again. Eventually you learned how to do it, and eventually you succeeded, which is why all of you could walk today. Because if you didn't, you would have never learned how to walk. It's a simple example, but it is profound. It's a lesson that tells you that if you are scared of failing, you will never achieve anything in life. Treat failure as your friend and say, you know what? I'm going to try this. In fact, those of you who read, and hopefully all of you do, I want you to go and buy a book or go online if you can find it. It's a book which is called Failing Forward. Failing Forward. Get that book, read it, learn from it. Because the author is a gentleman by the name of John C. Maxwell. Failing Forward. That is one book that put into context for me the idea of failure. By the way, when you fail at something, it does not make you a failure. Can I repeat that again? When you fail at something, it does not make you a failure. It means whatever you did failed, but that doesn't make you a failure. What that means, you become a failure if you don't learn anything from what happened and you don't do anything about it. Then you become a failure. Thomas Edison, when he learned how to get the right bulb, they said he failed 10,000 times to get the correct bulb. And when they asked him, my goodness, how did you deal with this failure? He says, no, I didn't fail. I only found out ways that didn't work. And he eventually got that which worked. Vision is in the eye of the beholder. Today, I'm going to tell you this. Nobody, if you see something and you believe something, and you see it so clear that if I do A, B, C, D, I'm going to get it. And someone comes to you and tell you, you can't do it. Tell them, you can't do it, not me. And why is that? It's because we can all look at the same thing, but see different things. And a lot of that is because of where the baggage that we come with. That baggage tells us what's possible, what's not. You as a person today, you are unique as an individual. You are unique. God created you to be unlike anybody else in this world. You've got talents, you've got capabilities, you've got abilities that only reside in you. But what we do, we don't look at what we have. We look at what others have. And we try to get to what others have. And you don't develop that which you have. That uniqueness that belongs to you. You don't develop it because you are focusing on someone else. There's a slide that will come and explain that. What you can do and achieve, only you can. Because there's only one of you in this world. And that's what this world needs. It needs you. It doesn't need a replica of someone else disguised as you. It needs you to be who you can or you are meant to be. That's how you find your purpose. I don't know how many of you go to church, or maybe, let me put it this way, believe in God. One thing I've learned throughout my years is that I always have my plan. You saw that slide, didn't it? I always have my plan. But the one that goes up and down like this, that is God's plan for me. And it always takes precedence. And this is what I always say, and I've learned this thing, and I'm saying, when you have a plan and things are not working, tell yourself, pray, and say, God, please, if this is not the door you want me to go through, give me the wisdom to see the door you want me to go through. Because when you do that, you open up opportunities to say, hey, maybe I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Because sometimes when you are trying to open a closed door, regardless of how you want it, that may not be in your best interest. That girl or that boy that you like so much, and she say no to you, may not necessarily be the best person for you. And maybe it's one way of telling you that, look at the other one next to that one. She may not be, or he may not be as rich, as wealthy as what, but he may be someone that I can build a life with. You are moved away from this environment that you may not see at that time, which could be toxic for you. But you don't see then. And in time, you move to a place where you say, when you sit back and look, and you say, my God. So this is what it was all about. I didn't see then, but God knew what was good for me. And he put all these obstacles in front of this way so that I can become who I'm meant to be. Next one. Some people think that talent or being good at something is enough. Never is. And one of the ladies, I think it was also Sister Andiso, talked about attitude. Attitude is the key to success. Attitude is the key to success. If you are talented or you are smart, okay, or you've got experience, these are all important. But the thing that's going to make you succeed is the attitude. And attitude is, you see this guy called Roger Bannister. In the history of humankind, before him, nobody ran the 4 mile under 4 seconds, 1 mile under 4 minutes. Nobody ever in the history of humankind. But Roger Bannister did it in 1954. And guess what? A month later, another guy did. And a few months later, other guys suddenly broke. And today, if you are a good athlete, long distance athlete, you can run a mile under 4 minutes. Why is it that before Roger Bannister did this, nobody ever in the history of humankind ever did that? Because they didn't believe it was possible. Only once somebody showed them that it is. As Nelson Mandela said, it is impossible until somebody does it. They said, surround yourself with those with the same mission as you. Do you see that slide with this limpe cheleo, with this snake? That's what attitude is. That thing did not give up. Even though this this snake had tied itself around them, it actually caught him. It did not give up. And guess what? Because of that, that means that snake cannot eat this limpet. Because that limpet is saying, Linna, I can show you. But most of us, when things happen to us, we hide. We don't fight back. I understand it's almost time. There's just one last thing that I want to say. This is a topic that I get so passionate about. There's just so much. You can't finish it in a few seconds. I just need to just mention one last thing in ending. And, there's a whole lot that you didn't see. As they said, I'm a chairman of a company called Tafari Capital. This is a company that we set up. We were from a WhatsApp group. So when we talk about discuss ideas, not people. In that WhatsApp group, we decided we are going to set up our own financial services institution. Because the ones that exist do not serve us. Who amongst you think they can own a bank here? Yes. And why the rest of you don't raise your hands? Is it impossible? Is it one of those things that are kintotsamagoa? Busy. We don't do anything about something which says, no black man has actually decided to create a bank in our own lifetime, so it's not possible. We are here to tell you and show you it is possible. If you decide, those guys who built all these banks before, or these financial service institutions, are no different from you and me. What makes them special? What stops you from doing what you think is right for you? They are no different. So we decided we are going to build a company called Tafari Capital. Write that name down because you're going to know about it very soon. Tafari Capital. And over 5 years, it took us 5 years to build this thing. So nothing happens speed. It took us 5 years. And we built what I believe is one of the most advanced platforms that will allow us to create a financial services and e-commerce platform where you and anybody else here can be able to open an account and be able to open an online store and sell anything you want to sell. You've got a book, or magwenya, or quarter, or you can put them online and sell. Our platform is called e-Chankura. Who knows what Chankura is? Electronic money. So it's called e-Chankura. So look at that platform, look at that name. Go and Google it, as the name lady said. That is something that we are building for our own people, for ourselves, a legacy for our own children. So, but lastly, before I go, I think it's important, if anything that you can take out of this, is nothing is impossible unless you give it permission. You decide. You have a choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For the last time, round of applause for the last time. Thank you so much to Dr. Thabo Lesokwa for the great presentation. There's one guy in my area where I grew up, Central Western Suburb. Every time when he's drunk, he says something. That summarizes the talk today. He says it's not by chance, but it is by choice. It is not by chance, but it is by choice. If it's to be, it's up to you. It will not happen until you decide it would happen. He was only 12 when he decided he would be a doctor. And today, he is a doctor. It's lunchtime. This is what we are going to do. We'll leave our guest to go. And then you would go, lunch is served that side. Please interact with the exhibitors and the exhibition. Those things are there to benefit you. The Wi-Fi is back. Share the link of what is happening. Speak on Twitter. Speak on Facebook. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Let's go for lunch.